So we've got some fantastic speakers and panelists this afternoon. I'm really looking forward to it, and we're going to start this afternoon. I'd love to welcome to the stage Marc Giles from Aer Lingus, who's going to talk about making a human airline.
Hoping this works here, yep. Lovely to meet you all, folks. So my name is Marc Giles. I'm Head of Customer Experience in Aer Lingus, and I'm going to talk to you a bit today about our approach to customer experience. So on the next piece, we're going to start with, oh sorry, I need a clicker, don't I? 1 second, I'm just going to get a clicker, sorry. Okay, so I'm going to start off with two advertisements that run 26 years apart. So the first one is from 1998, the second from last year. Is there audio? Is there any audio on the videos?
And it takes a very special kind of person to see past your appearance, to who you really are. To what you really want. To how you're really feeling. It takes a very special kind of person to see where you're really coming from. But then, this is not just an airline. This is Aer Lingus.
Okay, and then the next one was from last year.
This one right here. And then we gotta tighten it so that you don't fly away.
You must not be frightened. Try and get some sleep.
In the vastest sky, string the biggest goodnight to the whole wide world. So sleep.
We're simply people who do everything we can for the people who fly with us. Aer Lingus, you're very welcome.
So I think the theme that kind of runs across both those ads, albeit they're a quarter of a decade apart, is empathy. It's about really understanding who your customers are and being able to respond to those needs in a very proactive way, in a way that's kind of unique to your brand. So when we talk about what does it mean to be a more human airline in an increasing digital world, that piece of empathy and this next quotation I think really resonates here, that this is, I suppose, kind of the superpower for any organization. Customer experience is all about the emotions that a customer feels when they interact with your brand and your organization. It's not customer service. Customer service is a process. So in order to understand those emotions and be able to manage that customer experience, empathy really is at the core of that. So today I'm going to talk about our approach at Aer Lingus to that. And it starts off with our vision and mission. So at Aer Lingus, our purpose, mission, vision and values all circle around the customer. CX for us really is the differentiator. When you look at what it is you're delivering for a customer, operational excellence is kind of a hygiene factor. That's, people just expect their flight to depart on time. They expect their bags to arrive with them. That's the minimum that I expect as a passenger when I buy a ticket from you. Product then is absolutely important, and it's in some ways a right to compete. If you don't have the right product, you make it very easy for me to switch to a competitor who has the right product at the right price. But the problem with, if we just focus only on product, that's very replicable. What is really the space where any brand, not just airlines, can really kind of seek out where they can be unique and set themselves apart is in the area of the service interaction. And that's driven by brand immersion and a customer-centric culture, and that's really what allows us to set ourselves apart from the competition. And in a world where the traditional kind of binary model of full-service carrier versus low-cost carrier is kind of becoming increasingly redundant because everyone's moving more digital, everyone is investing in customer experience. That's why this is kind of a key focus for us. To really carve out the space where we can become the airline of preference. So when we look then at next how we live the brand, this is, I suppose, kind of really trying to harness what it is that our customers love about the Aer Lingus brand. And there really is a very strong affiliation with the Aer Lingus brand, particularly, not just within the Irish market, but a really strong group for us is the Irish diaspora kind of located across the world. And time again, we get comments of how these customers who may have been away from home for months, if not years, express this feeling of, I feel like I'm at home once I step on board the aircraft. So you probably saw the tagline in that most recent ad from 2024, you're very welcome. And that sets the tone for how we want the customer experience to feel. And our brand positioning in terms of how we position ourselves as the airline that is your ally, that really is at the forefront of this you're very welcome brand proposition. In terms of structure and culture, that's also crucially important. It was really interesting to hear Heather speaking about kind of the importance of, getting the whole organization to believe in customer centricity and that we champion the customer. At Aer Lingus, we've done the same. There's been a chief customer officer appointed in recent years, which I think is really crucial that you have someone at that C-suite level who is advocating and championing for the customer to make sure that all decisions are made with the customer in mind. And that we don't just focus too much on the financial or operational aspects. The customer has to be at the forefront. And also, we put NPS at the center of our corporate scorecard as well. So as Heather mentioned, NPS, CSAT, these are all hugely important metrics for us to gauge, are we meeting our customers' expectations? So when we talk about human-centric and not just customer-centric, I'm going to unwrap kind of three components. And the first piece is, if you want an engaged customer, it starts with an engaged employee. So this model, the service profit chain, some people may be familiar with this, but essentially it's saying that if you want to achieve the highest levels of customer satisfaction, customer loyalty, which then generates revenue and repeat business and ultimately profitability, you go back in the chain. It all starts with the employee experience. If you have disengaged employees, you simply will not have satisfied customers. I started my journey at Aer Lingus working as a check-in and boarding agent, and I would see firsthand with my colleagues, those who just did not want to be there, didn't particularly deliver a great customer experience. So as an organization, if you want to focus on the customer experience, start with the employee experience. When we look then next at how we actually empower our people to do the best job that they can possibly do, it's all about starting with giving them an active voice, particularly your frontline teams. They have invaluable knowledge and they have a real finger on the pulse on exactly what's important to your customer. They're out there dealing with this every single day and they know exactly what our customers appreciate and what lets them down in the moment. We also have to embrace open communication and making sure that we bring our colleagues on a shared journey. Equipping them with the tools that they need, giving them the information and the tools so that whether they're working in an airport or in a contact center or on board an aircraft, they have exactly what they need to be able to deliver the best possible customer experience. And with that, I think this is where it's really important to look beyond aviation. When we look, for example, I'm going to speak about an initiative that we ran at Aer Lingus called Connected Crew, and we equipped all of our cabin crew with devices. There's an inherent risk that when you move that direction, that you make the employee-customer interaction a little bit more robotic. So that's where I think when we look at the likes of Disney as an organization that deals exceptionally well with this kind of approach where it's equipping your employees with assistive tools so that they can be more proactive and deliver a more personalized customer experience. It's avoiding that kind of risk of it becoming more sterile. So when we look then at how we understand our customers, for us at Aer Lingus, this actually starts with what we call our core brand consumer. And we've given her a name, and that's Sarah. So Sarah, when we say a core brand consumer, that's, I suppose, kind of the consumer who represents all of our various customer segments. And when we look at the universal needs of Sarah, there are elements like she needs humanity and authenticity, where we go above and beyond, and it's all about people and the personal touch. Sarah wants the brilliant basics delivered with care. That's all about, we need to be trusted to be efficient, reliable, and make travel simple and frictionless. She also wants to see empathy, so that we show a clear interest in people like Sarah, and we anticipate and fulfill and exceed their expectations. And Sarah all wants to see recognition, and loyalty. So if we focus on those universal needs, we're hitting the needs of every single one of our customer categories. When we also then look at our voice of customer, I think again Heather spoke about this quite well, that getting that finger on the pulse in terms of Net Promoter Score and customer satisfaction, that allows us to look at every single one of the touch points along the customer journey to see what's working well and what's not working well. I'm going to speak to that in a little bit more detail in the next set of illustrated examples at Aer Lingus. So this is kind of how we bring this to life at Aer Lingus. It starts with insights-driven decision making. So as I mentioned, voice of customer is our primary listening channel for our customers. And when we look at then other insights channels, for example, various market reports, and we do focus groups of customers, it makes sure that we're not just focusing on one single channel. We're able to build kind of more of an ecosystem of data and insights. We also are on a journey looking at the role that AI plays and how we democratize that customer data. There's little point or benefit in having one central team in customer insights holding the keys to the customer insights if then others have to try and find a way to get hold of that. That needs to be openly available to all people across the organization, so that, for example, if I work in catering, I'm very easily able to go in and see what are the key issues that are impacting business class catering for the last 2 months. And that I'm able to then be empowered and take very quick action on that. We also then look at how ultimately all of these elements of customer insights drives prioritization. We can't do everything everywhere all at once, so we need to select those projects, for example, in the area of technology, so we can deploy our resources into those areas that will give us the best return on investment. And that ultimately is what we need to do. This is, we invest in customer experience because we want to see a better revenue outcome and profitability. So every investment we make needs to demonstrate that return on investment. The second category I'm going to talk about is product, so both digital and physical products. And when we look at some examples in recent years at Aer Lingus, we have done a redesign of our mobile app with a new user-friendly and intuitive user interface, push notifications, and ultimately the acid test of these efforts is that we have more bookings coming through our mobile app, and the rating then has increased from 3.0 to 4.7. When we look then at the physical customer experience and our hard product on the aircraft, we are committed to making sure that we have a fully consistent hard product across all of our aircraft. And that's really important for the customer, that they know they have reassurance on what they're going to get when they fly with you. So whether that be important elements like connectivity or a fully lie-flat seat, these are elements that we need to see the same high standards across all of our aircraft. When we look at lounge, that's an important touch point for our high-value customers, and they want a space where they can relax and unwind, but also a space that kind of embodies the brand and creates a little bit of an immersion into the brand. We also looked then at the in-flight soft product in our food and beverage, and we have recent examples of our new amenity kits that we launched in business class, which is focused on well-being and sustainability. And then we also looked at our improved loyalty benefits. So again, we want to keep our most loyal and most valuable customers coming back for more, and there's been a whole range of improvements in our Air Club loyalty program, as well as our Atlantic Joint Business Venture. So in the interest of time, I'll move on. So service and process, when we look at then some of the initiatives here that have been really driven by this human-centric approach, self-service is a really kind of topical one where we absolutely need to deliver great self-service options to our customers. But we very much subscribe to this concept of it's self-serve when I want it, but there's also human when I need it. I'm probably not alone when I arrived into Lisbon that there were some challenges in the airport experience. Something went wrong for me at a self-serve point, but there wasn't that human person there to help me on my journey. So that's a really crucial piece there, that you can't push everyone towards a self-serve journey if you're not going to have that person to assist when it's needed. This is a really simple example in Aer Lingus when we used human-centric service design when it came to signage. So at Dublin Airport in our self-serve check-in area, it would be very easy for us to use terminology that we as aviation experts are familiar with, which would be something like self-bag drop. But we actually did research in the terminal with various customer groups and did a number of different options and asked them what resonates most with you, what makes it clear what you have to do at this point. And through that validation, we were able to then get clearer instructional wording on the signage, which then made a big difference to the flow through the check-in area. We then design intuitive and easy processes, such as boarding by groups, to try and make the process as easy as understandable as possible, and therefore more consistently delivered. And then we also then look at how we can right-size our in-flight service and our offering for our customers. So for example, on overnight flights that are even departing later in the evening time, we want to make sure that we prioritize sleep for those customers. And then people investments, we've done a whole heap in the area of customer experience training through an immersive and experiential training program, new onboarding programs, so all of our new colleagues are really immersed into our customer ethos from day one. And also then our Connected Crew program, where I mentioned earlier, we've equipped over 3,000 cabin crew with iPhone 15s and a whole heap of functionality. I think we're going to talk that with the panel discussion in a little while, so I'll hold off on sharing further details until that. And then OHI, our Organizational Health Index, is also a key performance indicator for us. As I mentioned back earlier on, if we have a great employee experience, that then has a direct impact on the customer experience. So final takeaways is that it really is human-centered design. When we talk about human-centered, it's not just always being customer-centric, but it's looking at your colleagues as well. Empowering our colleagues at every level to set them up for the best success we can and allow them to shine and do what they do best. Data with empathy, so that we use insights to drive personalization and not just automation. And ultimately, we are all faced with the challenge that this is not just something that lives in a project. It has to become business as usual for us. So I think I'm just over time now, so thank you very much.